Chapter 40. The Invisible Communion. Some of the Proverbs are very difficult to translate, and so we sometimes have very different renditions. Proverbs 14:9 is an example of this. We can understand what it says by comparing three versions. The King James reads, quote, "Fools make a mock at sin, but among the righteous there is favor," unquote. This version, usually the best, falters here. The Douay version tells us, quote, "Guilt lodges in the tents of the arrogant, but favor in the house of the just," unquote. The Berkeley version has this, quote, "The bond, or intermediary, between foolish men is guilt, but between the upright it is goodwill," end quote. With the help of these versions, we can understand the meaning of the proverb. There is an unspoken and yet very real communion and community among men. Fools, meaning in Scripture men who deny God and His law, have an invisible bond, their common guilt. They share a bad conscience, a rejection of God and His Word, a common guilt and a rebellion against God's order. This is the bond between them. Their intermediary or mediator is sin and guilt. This brings them together. There is a like communion among the godly, an invisible bond that brings them together. It is a good conscience before God and a life which manifests the favor, grace, or goodwill that is born of a life in the Lord. As against the arrogance of the ungodly, there is grace and goodwill. The central point of this proverb is that there is a division between these two kinds of men. While it is invisible, it is very real, and more powerful than many things on the surface. The question for us to ask ourselves is this: in which camp are we?